Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, His Holiness Bhakti Vrinda Govinda Swami Maharaj ki Jai.
Celebrating this wonderful Vyasa Puja celebration. It is a wonderful sight, Guru Maharaj, to see yourself and how your wonderful relationships with your God brothers, His Holiness Indra Swami Maharaj and His Holiness Bhakti Vrinda Maharaj. This is so much of a learning for us, and we thank you, Guru Maharaj, for engaging us in this wonderful parampara. Hari Bol! Hari Bol, Subhadi.
हाँ ठीक है ओके
Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. It is so wonderful to have you amidst us. I did see you in Bangalore in December, but when I wrote this in November, I hadn't seen you for a while. So we have missed seeing much of you this last year. The next endeavor I took on was to focus on somehow bringing myself to be humbler. Humility is tough, and I'm far from it. I have realized and do so as every day passes. I draw inspiration from you, Guru Maharaj. I was in Doha last year whilst you visited, and at one of the devotees' homes, you were asked to speak on humility. You started with hands folded, and by saying that one can speak or share something with others only if one themselves possesses that particular quality. That was so magnanimous and humbling. Guru Maharaj, thank you for your unflinching, unconditional mercy, care and guidance. Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for your inspiration and encouragement. Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for being our superhero and sharing with us your superpower. Hari Bol, your servant. Hare Krishna.
The fact is, I'm so indebted in gratitude to you, I'm not even sure where to begin. By the mercy you and my God family have shared with me, I've been able to attend this glorious festival. Guru Maharaj, you are most compassionate and the one responsible for opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge and giving me the opportunity to chant the holy names. Your endless love for Srila Prabhupada, the Guru Parampara and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu you have is a true inspiration to me.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. One time I heard Govinda Maharaj say he would never speak in front of Giriraj Swami. So I also feel very uncomfortable speaking in front of Jai Advaita Swami, who's one of my revered speakers on the Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam. I listen to him regularly, but with his grace, I'll say a few words. Of course, the relationship between a godbrother and another godbrother is different than the relationship between the spiritual master and the disciple. But we shouldn't, in one sense, consider anything less important. Narottam Das Thakur has informed us in his songs, Hari, Guru, Vaishnava. the association and service to such personalities, the combination of Hari Guru and Vaishnava Seva to those august personalities is essential to our progress and our perfection in Krishna consciousness. Just as we depend wholly and solely upon the spiritual master to understand the glories of Krishna, we also depend upon the association of God brothers and God sisters to realize the glories of our spiritual master. So in my relationship with His Holiness Bhakti Vringa Govinda Maharaj, I'm very indebted so many, not just years, but decades, almost 50 decades of serving Srila Prabhupada together in his association and in the association of other illustrious God brothers and God sisters. We have gained some appreciation for the glories of our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, we can understand that friendship in Krishna consciousness is so important. By nature, as spirit souls, we're social beings. Prabhupada said one time, you never see a picture of Krishna alone. He's always with some associate or associates, some devotees. That's the nature of bhakti, of love, in the spiritual world. The Lord is always with His devotees engaged in transcendental loving relationships. So in the material world, when we come to this world, it's a perverted reflection, but we remain social animals, you could say. We require association with other persons. We hardly ever want to be alone. Just sometimes to get away from things we may be alone, but generally like to be with other people. But this world is such a nasty place that when we develop so-called friendships in this world, it's very degrading. We search out love, we search out friendship, but because the nature of that friendship is we're trying to enjoy mundane things, sensual things. Nowadays in Kali Yuga, it's really the only opportunities you have are sinful things to do together. And you do those things together and you think, well, this is my best friend because we like the same music, the same cars, the same type of girls, and the same type of non-mentionable food, and you're with your friend, you go to hell. So what kind of friend is that? I was in America a couple of years ago and driving somewhere, I fell asleep, and the driver was one of those drivers that follows really close to the other cars. It made me nervous. But came up behind the car and opened my eyes and I saw the bumper sticker. It said, "Real friends don't let their friends eat meat." That's almost a Christian conscious bumper sticker. Real friends don't let their friends eat meat. So it's very frustrating, and as a result of all those frustrating relationships, looking for love in various ways in the material world, then we somehow have caused us mercy. We come to Krishna consciousness and we have the most worshipable person in our life, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have our spiritual master who delivers us from material existence, the lotus feet of Krishna. And we have the support as we advance from Shraddha to Prema with friends, with God brothers and God sisters and nieces and uncles and aunts. It's an extended family in ISKCON, and all these relationships encourage us, and we do these things, we do all these Krishna conscious things together. And there's a saying, a friend in need is a friend indeed. So certainly if we're just beginning the process of Krishna consciousness, and we need friends to inspire us sometimes to chastise us. Who's going to tell us we're doing something wrong except someone who's a real friend? And on so many occasions, Govinda Maharaj has chastised me, corrected me, guided me. There's few people in your life that you can really accept their chastisement because you know it's a chastisement of love. Many times in the material world when someone chastises you, it's out of envy or jealousy or anger or whatever. But a loving relationship, when you chastise someone, it's really to bring them up to your standard of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said the duty of a first-class man is to make a fifth-class man also a first-class man. So as we advance on the path of Krishna consciousness, because the process works, it definitely works from whatever stage one comes to Krishna consciousness, it always works. And friendship means that generally we're on the
pretty much the same level of Krishna consciousness. So it's a wonderful adventure to have a friend in Krishna consciousness. That as you chant Hare Krishna, as you associate with devotees, as you take prasadam, as you render service to the spiritual master, all the wonders of Krishna consciousness become revealed to you. There's so many wonderful things awaiting us on the path of Krishna consciousness. We should never lose hope or become despondent or whatever. The whole spiritual world will be revealed to us one day by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So with the God Brother, you're walking along that path, and you know you may trip up a little bit, and there's a friend to pick you up. And then you discover something wonderful together, and you share that realization. You know, that's so nice to have someone to share that realization with. And we do that in the very simple activities of Krishna consciousness. Sitting together and hearing the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam and looking at each other and say, yeah, I got that realization too. You know, yeah, I just got, yeah. You're driving somewhere and you have some realization about the glories of another devotee or something that you read, and it makes it that much more real and authorized when someone that's the same level of Krishna consciousness shares that with you. You need that. And then again, when you slip up a little bit, there's someone to remind you, hey, you're making a big show, but I know your heart. Thank you. That's the real friend, because we need these obstacles to be removed from the heart so that we can develop pure love for the Lord. So, just as I'm dependent on my spiritual master to progress in Krishna consciousness, I'm dependent upon the association with my God brothers and my God sisters. We have different relationships with them, but I would say that Bhakti Govinda Maharaj, he's my bosom buddy. That's an old English term, a bosom buddy. And again, I'll just repeat it because, well, spiritual things can be repeated. We went to visit one sadhu, and that sadhu looked at Maharaj. He said to me, he said, he's already delivered. I said, oh, really? What about me? Well, I thought if I just follow in his footsteps and do kirtan with him, and enjoy the Bhagavatam with him, and go on adventures with him, and sometimes get his cooking, which is especially. Then another sadhu was sitting there chanting, bold sadhu. He started crying. He looked at us and he said, these two devotees, they've been together serving their spiritual master for many, many lifetimes together. Oh, my deliverance is assured. Charya Vaishnava Seva. Who's ever been delivered by without the mercy of a Vaishnava? So I'm very grateful to Srila Prabhupada to have a friend like Govinda Maharaj and I. We've been through many things together, many wonderful experiences. We go way, way, way back, and I'm very grateful to him for his friendship, enjoying the same things in Krishna consciousness, relishing, sharing realizations, giving gifts in charity to each other, sharing our realizations, taking prasadam together. My only lamentation in this relationship is he doesn't cook enough. Because as we've heard, he has many attributes. He has a Gandharva-like voice. Whenever he opens his mouth and sings, because of the purity of the heart, it melts the audience. He's a very good speaker. He's a natural speaker. And he's humorous. You know, humor is the best medicine. Life can be a bit tough, even in Krishna consciousness, we struggle, but he's always got some joke to crack that's just like, really, you said that? But he can get away with it because he's Govinda Maharaj. And yeah, I really just appreciate that humor, and I look forward to many, many years. Maharaj is pretty tough. You know, I predict to live well into his 90s, maybe his 100s. You know, his so, you know, I pray that all the way out that he'll continue to be my friend and consider me his friend, and we can continue relishing the progress together on the path of pure devotional service, safely at the lotus feet of our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Bhakti Govinda Maharaj ki Jai, Prabhupada ki Jai, Premanandi.
In the spiritual world, all living entities, they have a relationship of friendship with each other. And when that quality comes into the material world, then you see it as friendship, you see it as compassion, and you see it as indifference. In other words, those who aren't interested in Krishna, don't deal properly with the devotees, then it's an indifferent mood. But it's the same quality. Because sometimes you see it listed as compassion, and sometimes you see it listed as friendship, but it's one quality. So this quality always struck me about Govinda Maharaj, that he has this element of friendship. It doesn't matter who it is he's never seen before, where it is, then he'll have a very pleasant discussion, something nice. Struck me when we were at the airport. I don't know where it was, but it was Atlanta or something. I don't know where it was, but comes up to the counter and it mentions to the person behind the counter, because they were very busy and all that. Looks like you've had, it's been a tough day or stuff like that. And they could relate immediately. They were pleasant, they were nice. Wherever he goes, if we get in a taxi, then he'll always be nice to the person that's there, where they're from, what they're doing, how long they've been here. So like that, then it's a very important quality. And then from this we see is that his family has grown based on this quality. That's one of the things that you notice there, is that they're all friendly, they all interact nicely. You don't have all the, the kind of like social, profiling, or, where each one's trying to, I'm the better devotee and this and that. Yeah, hang-ups and head trips. So it's just very pleasant, nice. Everyone is very qualified and all that, and he can do all these things. And it's not that it's just just a simplicity, so therefore one's pleasant. One's, come from out in the country sometimes, you're nice to everybody, you don't make any discrimination. It's actual culture. It's just a cultured element. He knows how to deal, so you can see from the simplest person up to, very sophisticated people, aristocratic people, government people, anyone he can deal very nicely with. And somehow or another interest them in the devotees, in Krishna consciousness, in proper, in nice dealings. And so it's a very actually important quality. Nowadays, so much emphasis is put on various kinds of knowledge and skill, and that, which is important, but that's like for a cook getting into what pots and pans they use, but it's not cooking. We always have to remember that, is that the knowledge and skills is not devotion, never was, never will be. It's what you use, it's the tools you use. And so this essential point that we see Maharaj just gets down to the essence, what's the devotional part and all that. If you can use knowledge and skills, you can use your intelligence, you can do something very expert, he appreciates that, because he himself is very expert. But at the same time, if it's just a show, if it's just a trip, it's just something I think I'm doing this and see aren't I great, immediately he'll just say it's not important. So, and it's not that he doesn't have he's good at these things. When the deity worship started, he was always pujari, all the technical stuff, you name it, whatever we were doing, standing on your head, doing achman with your toes, he could do all that stuff.
You see me do it?
But with time he saw this isn't the essential point, it's the devotion. So if you're formal, you do it, but otherwise it's not the essential point. All these things, technically he can do so many things, but that's not the important thing. You see this quality there in Srila Prabhupada, that he's known as being a devotee, the greatest devotee. Even though he's the best cook, the best manager, the best preacher, the best musician, all these things, that's not what he's known as, a devotee. And so that's what's important. That's what makes it good. So that attractiveness is because he's, how you say, real. He cares about the essence, and because of that, others appreciate that, and then they see how it's about the essence. And that's what I've seen as a particular thread that I've caught that's there. So you can have someone doing kirtan, and they can do something very technically nice, and if it's the right mood, he appreciates, encourages, likes to get them to go. But if it's not, it's just part of the scene. You got a tattoo, you got some earrings, you got some powder on the back of your neck, you can play some cool beats, and he doesn't like it all. He'll tell someone to go and have somebody else play. Like that. So it's about the essence. So that's the thing that I've always appreciated, that Maharaj gets down to the essence. So Srila Bhakti Bringa goes, Bhakti Bringa Govinda Swami ki
Jai! Govinda Swami.
One thing is, Maharaj, you spoke very nicely. Thank you very much. Indra Maharaj, that was an incredible talk. I mean, now I know why you don't like to speak in front of me. You don't want me to feel bad.
My hero, Maharaj. You are my hero.
No. Just
You're a hero for all of us.
cartoon character.
I mean, if there's anyone in this assembly here that's read Bhagavad Gita and read Prabhupada's book, Jai Dvaita Swami Maharaj is your hero.
I just wanted to appreciate that talk because it was so on target. Everyone's glorifying Govinda. Hey. I think I can say with confidence that there's no other devotee in this movement who combines such intense and serious devotional service with so many unprintable words.
Perfect.
I was remembering in Prabhupada's last days, Prabhupada wasn't eating. He was just taking a little juice. But then one day he asked, how are the devotees eating? Are they getting nice prasadam? And fortunately at that time, Govinda Maharaj, Ayodhyapati in his pre-sannyas days, was cooking. So then the answer to Prabhupada was, oh, Srila Prabhupada is such nice prasadam. And Prabhupada was very, very pleased. The devotees were taking nice prasadam. I remember sometime later, I don't know if it was, when it was, Maharaj cooked a feast in Vrindavan. And it was an extraordinary feast because usually big feasts are big knockdown, blowout, rich, eat till you can't get up kind of feasts. And this feast was so, what to say? Every item was so relishable. And all the items were simple. It wasn't tons of ghee, it wasn't tons of curd, it wasn't tons of this, tons of that. Each item was cooked so nicely that, and they were mild and beautiful, each one, so that you didn't have to take a lot. Just by tasting each preparation, you feel so wonderful. Because the consideration of the devotees, I think that you're not trying to kill them. And because there was such love and devotion in the food. It was, you could taste that. It's like you're saying about the kirtan, you see the earrings and you see all the technique. But what you really want to see is or really want to hear is the devotion. And in cooking, that's what you really want, is devotion, not just fanciness. But it takes a very advanced cook to cook simply and to cook in such a way that you're practically tasting Krishna's presence. So I always remember that piece, how satisfied all the devotees were in Vrindavan. And similarly, kirtan is wonderful by the devotion to the holy name of the Lord. That's, as Maharaj said, the essence of the kirtan. And the essence of Vrindavan. It's wonderful to know all the different places and know so many things, but to have that appreciation of Vrindavan Dham and a real feeling for the presence of Krishna in Vrindavan and an appreciation of the devotees in Vrindavan and an appreciation of the places in Vrindavan, not just lore, but a genuine admiration and appreciation of Vrindavan, and devotion to the Lord, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the form of the Lord, to the service of the Lord, to the spiritual master, Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and preaching the message of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada, we're meant for Prabhupada's service, and Prabhupada wanted us to spread Krishna consciousness. He wanted us to practice, he wanted us to understand it, and especially he wanted us to distribute it, to preach it, to spread it to others. So Govinda Maharaj is doing all of these things, chanting, cooking, preaching, and in difficult places also. In very difficult places he's preaching with success. And I'm sure that Srila Prabhupada would be delighted. And we're just hoping that he'll continue to give us a hard time. A hard time. Hard time means you get squeezed.
It's fun squeezing Jai Dvaita Maharaj because there's hardly anything there to squeeze. You can really squeeze with a lot of energy because it's just some skin and bones. Skin, bones, and bhakti.
It's like the end of the toothpaste tube.
Well, I'd like to say that I'm very thankful. I'm thankful for such a beautiful function being organized today. And generally, at these functions, historically, it's not an easy day for us, because we know our hearts, and we know that everything in our hearts are not perfect. We try to repeat the words of Srila Prabhupada. Those words are perfect. We try to help people to understand the process that Prabhupada and our predecessor acharyas have given us, and that's perfect. But we know our hearts and we know that everything in our hearts is not perfect. So when so many loving individuals come together to share their kindness, share their love, share their feelings, and share their compassion, and give their blessings, you know, we feel ourselves unqualified. But I'm very thankful that you all have come. And on previous occasions, I've always sort of been we're getting the camera out. I told Indraduna Maharaj to go wild with his camera today. This is also sort of an occasion when your students come together and they want to express their appreciation, and you feel a little nervous about your godbrothers coming, because all these individuals who are sitting here, His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Indraduna Swami Maharaj, although we've been friends for so many years, for me they're all worshipable personalities. We're friends, but I see them all as being so superior to myself. And yet from their kindness, you know, they've come and they've said compassionate and kind and loving words to myself, and I so deeply appreciate that. Indraduna Swami Maharaj and I, we served in Southern Europe. He went there, he left America, Maharaj left America in the summer of 72. Srila Prabhupada had been in New York on the 4th of July. That was the 4th of July year, 72? It was Maharaji, the people they cannot see.
Very important photo.
Oh, very important photo. Srila Prabhupada had been in New York at the Brooklyn Temple on the 4th of July. He was giving classes, and then he left for Europe. Just before we speak about Maharaj going to Europe and our interaction there, I met Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj at that time in New York. Although maybe you probably don't remember me, but in 1972, Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, he was already a cult hero in ISKCON. He was such a famous devotee. Everybody just fell to his feet. And I didn't know the Brooklyn Temple at all. I was from the Buffalo Temple. And one day after the class, I was sort of like wandering in the Brooklyn Temple, and I came into some area, maybe it was outside of Prabhupada's room. I'm not exactly sure what it was. But His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, he just walked out of Srila Prabhupada's room after Srila Prabhupada had had his breakfast. And he had a big thali, because the devotees would make so many things for Srila Prabhupada. And there would be like rasgullas, and there would be some samosas, or there would be fruits and so many different things. When he walked out, all the brahmacharis started diving at the plate of prasadam. Give me a samosa, give me a rasgulla, give me gulab jamun, give me this, give me that. And I remember Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, he turned the plate away and he looked at them with very big eyes. He said, "Are you humans or are you animals?" And when those words issued from his lips, everybody got real serious real fast. And then he would say, "What do you want? Give me rasagula. What do you want? Give me this. What do you want? Give me that." And I wasn't from the New York temple, I was just a visitor, and I was patiently waiting. And it came down to, my time. He looked at me and he said, "Brahmachari, what would you like?" And I looked on Prabhupada's plate, and there was a quarter. They used to cut oranges into quarters, and Prabhupada would just and take the juice like that. There was a piece of orange on Prabhupada's plate that Prabhupada had put inside of his lotus mouth, and he sucked the juice out. And he looked at me and he said, "Brahmachari, what do you want?" And I pointed to the orange, that Prabhupada had sucked down. Then Jayadvaita Swami looked at all the other brahmacharis and said, "Just see the most intelligent among men." When that visit concluded, Srila Prabhupada, he flew to France, or maybe he flew to London. And His Holiness Indraduna Swami Maharaj, he wasn't Swami then, and his friend Bhagwan, they flew to help develop the Krishna consciousness movement in France. Maharaj was so blessed, he had different wonderful interactions with Srila Prabhupada in London, maybe in Paris also, I'm not exactly sure. But later I came. I was serving in Vrindavan. 79, I went to Southern Europe, and we became friends. We just became friends. And ISKCON was growing by leaps and bounds during that period, and millions of books were being printed and millions of books were being distributed, and so many things were growing very, very big. But I remember in our zone, Maharaj, it came to a point where we started saying, well, things are getting so big and there's so much opulence, and there's always the chance that, somebody may become distracted by all of this opulence and become distracted by all of the wealth and become distracted by... So we wanted to institutionalize or legalize in our zone what we called the buddy system. Meaning, each person, each leader in the zone, he had to tag up with somebody who was going to keep track on him. I never liked it. I never liked it at all. The reason that I didn't like it is because I saw people started doing this from some sort of a official basis. And what they would do is they would get together and they'd just start talking about how bad you are and how bad I am and how bad you are and how bad I am. And I used to say, I don't believe in that. And I used to say, because we have examples of people like Narottam, Srinivas, Shamananda. They weren't bound by rules and regulations, or you have to observe when I go out the door, you have to observe when I walk up the stairs. They just loved one another. They served Krishna together. They served their gurus together. They served all the Vaishnavas. They served everyone in the world. And they just loved one another. Their love was so deep that when their associates started leaving this world, practically speaking, they were dying. from the fire of separation from their beloved friends. That's how deep their love was. Vaishnava love, very pure love. We had our 6 Goswamis, Lord Chaitanya's chief preachers who established the entire theology and the entire practice of Chaitanya Vaishnavism. They just loved one another. And that love was not like the self-serving love of this world. That love was love in Krishna consciousness. Just to be together. Just to hear talks about Krishna. Just like yesterday, our Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, he said that they would just hear about Radha and Krishna and they became madmen. They would do it together. They would hear the topics of the Lord. They would forget to eat. They would forget to sleep. That was the depth of their love and their relationship and their friendship in Krishna consciousness. So I'm very thankful that my friends have come. As I said, they're worshipable. I mean, it's like Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, he is such an intelligent person, and he is such a devotional person, and I'm just a donkey. But he, he has love for me, and he tolerates me, and I so deeply appreciate it. Our Bhaktivedanta Purna Swami Maharaj, he understands Krishna consciousness from it's like Prabhupada used to say, you take a crystal and you can look at it and see from so many different things, from so many different angles. That's the power that Bhaktivedanta Purna Swami Maharaj has. And our Indradumna Swami Maharaj, he's just like, they're all generals, but he's like a real general in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan army. He's just laid down his life, spreading Krishna consciousness all over the earth planet. And they're so great, but they have such kind feeling of love and affection for me. So I'm so thankful to you all. And I pray that just birth after birth after birth, I can have the association of beautiful Vaishnavas like this. And I pray that birth after birth after birth, I can have the association of beautiful Vaishnavas like yourselves. And in that association, there's only one thing I want to do, and that is to have the wonderful opportunity and the most cherished opportunity to engage in the service of your lotus feet. So thank you all very much. Jayadvaita Maharaj, thank you. Bhakti Purna Swami Maharaj. Indradumna Swami Maharaj, thank you so much. And I'd like to thank all the devotees here who are so wonderful. The devotees, Damodar Desh devotees are wonderful. And I'm so happy and I'm so pleased with, our little BBGS family over here, because all of you are engaged in preaching. All of you are engaged in sharing. All of you are engaged in telling other people about Krishna consciousness. It's like sometimes disciples, because I'm so close with Indradumna Swami Maharaj, sometimes his disciples come to me and they say, what's the best thing I can do to please Srila Gurudev? What is the best thing I can do? So many times people have come to me, what is the best thing I can do to please Gurudev? And I said, well, observe his life. From the time he was a boy, from the time he came to Krishna consciousness, what has he been doing? He's only been preaching. From the time he was a boy, time he came to Krishna consciousness, only preaching. Time he was a boy, only preaching. It's something that Srila Prabhupada put inside of us. And I'm so thankful Jugal. I'm so thankful to you, Kishori, thankful to you, thankful to all my disciples over here. You know, that you caught that spirit and that you're sharing Krishna consciousness according to your Shakti, that you're practicing nicely, that you're doing your sadhana nicely, that you're reading Prabhupada's books. Like yesterday I made that point. Please, please, please read the books of Srila Prabhupada. If you want to go back to Godhead, if there's anybody in this audience today who is a practicing devotee, you know, a congregation person, a new devotee, if you would like to go from this world, which really is temporary, and is a place of being born and a place of dying, if you'd like to go to the eternal Sanatan atmosphere, if you'd like to go to the spiritual world, and if you would like to meet Krishna, and if you'd like to become one of Krishna's servants in the spiritual world, which is what we're supposed to do, if you want to do that, you please read the books of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Nothing else is required. Read Prabhupada's books, chant Krishna's name sincerely, serve Vaishnavas, and your lives will become successful. So thank you all very much. I'm so deeply indebted to all of you for your love that just keeps flowing in my direction. I'm deeply indebted to my God brothers for all of your love. Thank you, Hari. And deeply indebted to my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. He picked me up. He picked me up. I was just another lost person in this world, and I'm still pretty lost. But Srila Prabhupada, he picked me up. So thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Thanks to all of you, and thanks to my dear God brothers for being here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. I will give you the name, which means you're the servant of the abode of Krishna's divine pastimes. Your new name will be Rasa Mandala Das. Rasa Mandala Das. And Supriya, with such a wonderful name like Supriya, it's kind of hard to top that, but I will give you a new name, and your new name will be Supriya Radhika Devidasi. Supriya Radhika Devidasi ki. Please bestow your kind Vaishnav grace upon Rasa Mandala and Supriya Radhika by raising your hands, and let's chant Hare Krishna together.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada ki Jai. Go They do. Your eyes are so big looking at that cake.